from everywhere USA. It's Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla.
Oh, hot damn. Here we go. Coming to you live from the greatest country in the world, broadcasting from the tippy top of the world famous Fox News headquarters in New York City. It is Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla, a man who did not just get confirmed as HHS Secretary. No, ma'am. RFK Jr. getting through the Senate. He is now officially confirmed as your next HHS guy. That matters. There's a bit of a Democrat meltdown taking place. And I know there are some crazy stories about RFK Jr., but at the end of the day, the people telling him have taken so much money from Big Pharma, they'd bash puppies if it paid them well enough. You know the rules on the show. You don't have to agree with me. I'm a conservative. I know not everyone is, but I don't need you to see it my way because we live in America. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. And all that means here is you could be a Republican, you could be a Democrat, just don't be a bang. Happy Thursday, you guys. And I am in a chippy mood because I was just walking through traffic in Times Square filming a video for the Fox News social team.
That can't be good.
No, luckily I still have like a good horse sense in traffic, even when I'm staring at a camera walking between cars. But I'll let you know when that video is live. And you'll see it all over the Fox platforms. But it was in response to what just happened with RFK. Let's start here really quick because it's a busy day. There's a lot to get to. Okay, the good news, the biggest news, the most paramount news for me to share with you is that Hamas has announced that they are giving back the hostages by the Saturday deadline Trump imposed. If you remember, Trump said this in the Oval Office on Monday, clip 1.
They ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday, and if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock, and after that, I would say all hell is going to break out.
All hell is going to break out. Well, lo and behold, Hamas announcing earlier today they're going to free 3 more Israeli hostages as originally planned, and they are going to step up their game to get everyone else out as well. At the very least, it would appear that they are responding to Donald Trump's ultimatum. Why? It's not because Donald Trump possesses any power that the previous 46 presidents didn't possess. Okay, maybe 1 or 2 of them didn't. We weren't the world's biggest global superpower when Washington got into office. Okay, we were kind of a startup with a lot of, cigarettes in the ashtrays and empty pizza boxes laying around the office. America was a bit of a startup when we got off the ground. But the point is, in the modern era, we are the biggest superpower in the world. And we have the richest economy in the world. And that does entitle us to certain privileges. That's why I always say you don't have white privilege in this country, but you damn sure have American privilege.
That's true. That is true.
American privilege. You live in the richest and most prosperous economy on the planet, which means you have more opportunity at your disposal than any citizen of any other nation in the world. That is a statement of fact. Okay, and it is not specific to any one race or gender. Whether you're black, white, Asian, gay, Muslim, doesn't matter. Okay, Latino, Latinx, whatever term they make up next in the Democratic Party, doesn't matter. You live in America, you hit the lottery. Okay, straight up. Freedom! And not only do you have more economic opportunity, not only do you have more social opportunity and religious opportunity and dating opportunity, but you have more opportunity in terms of your safety. Okay, and I understand things are trended in the wrong way in a lot of blue cities these days, but the reality is, okay, we have the strongest military in the world. So we are not to be taken advantage of if you have a president willing to wield that leverage. That's how Trump's getting deals done with tariffs. That's how Trump's getting hostages back. That's how Trump's on the verge of negotiating an end to the war between Russia and Ukraine. If Americans' force is represented in the equation, people behave a little bit better. We're the world's belt. If you grew up in a house where your parents had a belt or a spoon, you and your siblings could be horsing around and fighting, and someone could say, hey, knock it off. And you knew full well that if you didn't knock it off, the belt was coming.
This could be a problem.
So everybody started behaving again. Okay? America is the world's belt. Okay, and when you snap the belt, the world does take notice. And that's a privilege you have as an American. So you understand Trump getting these hostages back, a big deal. That being said, as it pertains to RFK getting confirmed, as it pertains to all of these Doge cuts, being the biggest superpower, having the biggest economy, having the strongest military, doesn't mean you're running a perfect country. We do have a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. And sadly, we have a lot of things we fund that don't get us a return on investment. When it comes to RFK Jr., the biggest criticism of him is that, yes, the guy has said a lot of crazy things over the years. Okay, he's not telling you he's anti-vax. He is telling you that he'd like more information about how we schedule these vaccines, because it's undeniable that the autism rates, which went from 1 in 5,000 to 1 in 36 kids, okay, something's changing. I don't know what the answer is. I don't even know that he does. But if they think it's the schedule of vaccine dosages and how they should reprioritize that, it doesn't make him a kook or a quack. He's a guy who's trying to take the health of our country and turn it around. We spend more money on healthcare than any other country in the world, and we have some of the worst outcomes. You know, I tell this story a lot. America's kids have gotten so fat that kidnappings are actually down like 90% because you can't get them in the car fast enough at the size they've become. Okay, and that might be a joke, but the reality is, yes, childhood diabetes is a major epidemic in our country. So the guy who wants to go in there and take a little weight off the kids, make them a little more active, have them put down the video game controls, is not Satan. Okay, the Democrats might have you believe he is, but what do every one of the Democrats bashing RFK Jr. have in common?
Money, 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 money.
Okay, the two people who bashed him the hardest during his confirmation hearing, Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders, who, gosh, we did 5 minutes on Bernie Sanders on my Fox News Saturday Night Show last week. How when he was, RFK said, well, the problem in healthcare is everybody's taking money from Big Pharma, including you, Bernie. And Bernie flipped out. No. He gave the whole, he tried saying he didn't take the money from the PACs. I didn't take a nickel from the PAC money. I took it from the workers. Okay, so yeah, you didn't take money from a healthcare super PAC. You took money from everybody who worked at the healthcare company, okay? It's the same thing.
Bingo, man, bingo.
At the end of the day, you're bought and paid for, and he is. Okay, but you can't argue we are over-medicated and under-healthed in this country. 65% of our country is on a recurring prescription drug now. Do you know how high that is comparative to 20 years ago? It's like double. Okay, it's high. I believe it's slightly higher than double. It's insane. Okay, and understand the monopoly they have on our health is kind of holding us hostage because there's as much money in treating diseases, to be honest with you, more money in treating them than there are in curing them. And I'm not accusing them of some kind of corruption because I don't have all the facts. I'm just telling you, if you spend the most money and you get the worst outcome, it's time to make a change.
Step into my office. Why? Because you're fired.
I don't know who gets fired. I just know RFK Jr. goes to town. And as a guy arguing to address the autism rates head on, as a guy arguing to lower the childhood obesity rate in this country, okay, as a guy arguing that we need to make America healthy again, okay, I promise you, you'd rather have that guy going to bat for our country than the people fighting to maintain the status quo that donates to their campaigns, okay? It's, we got a problem. Okay, have you ever been to Disney World lately? It's just fat people on scooters eating turkey legs. That's 80% of the park. Fat people on scooters and security guards following my producer Mikey around so he doesn't get too close to the kids. That's the park, okay? But the reality is we need to make a change. It's the same thing they keep telling us at the Department of Education. They're like, well, you can't fire the Department of Education. We're 40th in the world in education. But that's exactly why you fire the Department of Education.
Correctamundo.
If we spend more money on education and we finish 40th, I mean,
Get him out of here. Get him out.
Imagine being like, hey, you can't trade all the players. We're in last place right now. We need these guys. And you're like, no. If you can finish in last place with them, you can finish in last place without them. That's the reality. So yes, we are the world's greatest superpower. So much so that Donald Trump is getting back hostages at breakneck speed. Okay, if you watched the CNN interview the other night where the family said, the people who worked on these hostage negotiations said, wow, we usually work on these things for 2 or 3 years. This guy gets into office and everybody just starts coming home. It's because all he's really doing is using the leverage so many generations of Americans have fought and died to give him. And understand, having a guy in there willing to make those moves is going to bring us a better way of life in this country. It's just a statement of fact. And when he says America first means every legal citizen in the most racially tolerant and diverse and inclusive society on the planet. So everything he's doing is a win for all Americans. The people fighting this, the people fighting RFK, the people fighting USAID are really fighting their monopoly on power and their monopoly on money, on lobbyist money. Do you know what USAID is at the end of the world, at the end of the day? It's The Sopranos. Do you remember the episode of The Sopranos? The title of the episode was No Show. And if you're familiar with it, if you're not familiar with it, I'll lay it out for you right quick. The mafia had what was called no-show construction jobs at these construction sites. And this is a thing that's as old as time in real life, not just in The Sopranos. The mafia controlling a lot of the construction industry would make the project manager pay 20 or 30 guys to be construction workers on the project, but they didn't actually have to show up to work and do any construction. It's called a no-show job. At USAID, for all intents and purposes, was a no-show construction job for a lot of the Democrats' special interest cronies. Okay, yes, they were funding and subsidizing media outlets around the world, 675 different outlets, and they were paying them to, regurgitate whatever the establishment political view of the day was in their respective outlets. Okay, so there was that. And yes, they were exporting a lot of woke ideology, but at the end of the day, they were just using your taxpayer dollars and wasting them on no-show construction jobs for a lot of people who contributed nothing to society. What did America get? What did it get out of transgender comic books in Peru? The answer is nothing. Okay, what did you get out of drag shows in Ecuador? Nothing, unless you went and you tipped Cinnabons a couple of bucks, but I doubt you did. Okay, understand, having the greatest country, having the biggest economy also means you're ripe to be taken advantage of by people who exploit your generosity. Okay, in a lot of ways, that's also happened in healthcare. We're spending all of the money, but there's really no way to quantify what we're getting back. Are certain things better? Yes. But if you look at something like Obamacare was actually passed as the Affordable Care Act. Has care become more affordable under Obamacare?
The answer would be no.
The answer would be no. The Republicans trashed Obamacare as Obamacare because they wanted to tie it to him because he was unpopular heading into the midterms, and they were like, Obamacare, Obamacare, Obamacare. And they all ran on repeal and replace Obamacare. But if you really wanted to highlight just how ineffective the bill was, they should have called it by its real name, which is the Affordable Care Act. Okay, if care goes up by an average of 300%, okay, you have not made it more affordable.
I don't see you doing any better in the booty department.
But that's the reality. The cost has gone up. The quality has gone down in most areas. Our outcomes aren't any better. And the only folks screaming to keep things the same are the Democrats who took big pharma money. So at the end of the day, I don't know where RFK is going to take this, okay? But I do know he can't do any worse than what we have now.
The Fox News Rundown podcast is covering the president's first 100 days, breaking down every move with perspective and analysis. Start and finish your day with the Fox News Rundown podcast. Listen now wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
You want to talk about a big win for the American people? Okay, which, I mean, honestly, morale's trending in the right direction as a country. I think we can all agree on that. But now we're talking about next level stuff. You know, in Back to the Future, when the DeLorean hits the flex capacitor and it goes from 88 miles an hour to like actual time travel, this is the level of morale boost myself and my next guest are about to deliver to everybody listening to this show. So let's just bring her on. You know her, you love her, host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, the best columnist at the Daily Mail. Her words, not mine. Kennedy's here. We're excited about it. Hi, good to see you.
I love the idea that I cornered you in the hallway. Like, Jim, when you talk about that, you say that I'm the best columnist. You got it?
She won't come on. It's like at old Yankee Stadium, DiMaggio would only show up to Old Timers Day if he was the last guy introduced. So he insisted that he come on after Mantle.
Wow.
Which you actually don't want to do because Mickey was usually half in the bag, might pee on the...
Didn't he get 4 livers?
That's what I mean, yeah. Now there's no third baseline because he snorted it. You want to get out there, Joe, before Mickey's all teed up and going.
While it's classy.
Well, while we talk about big wins for the American people and none bigger, Kennedy and I can announce, wow, this is big.
This is so exciting, Jim.
I feel like this is the closest I'll come to anchoring election night coverage and declaring the winner of the election.
Or co-hosting a debate.
Yes, but in this instance, the winner is everyone in America. Kennedy and I, on April the 19th, are heading out to the Keystone Grand Ballroom at the Mohegan Sun in Pennsylvania for what is being called a night of laughs and liberty for the American people. I mean... Oh, girl!
Yes, the east side of Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
Woo!
We are moving on up.
I can't wait. That is an incredible facility. That ballroom is absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a new set. I've got some tricks up my sleeve that only the sailors at Fleet Week have seen.
No, I mean, listen to me. If you like ping pong balls, this is your Super Bowl. It is all
Wear
going
a
down.
catcher's mask.
Folks,
that's all I'm saying.
The tickets will go on sale tomorrow. Not tomorrow, actually Friday, February the 14th.
What a wonderful Valentine's
That's
present
what I was just going to
for
say.
anyone in the Northeast Corridor.
That you want to get for a loved one or even an ex. If you just want to torment them with a night of us, maybe.
We will make fun of your ex on stage.
We will ruin your ex. Instead of doing the thing we do at the end of the show where we beat the baby seal.
Where we club the baby first seal who's asking for it?
Yeah, we'll club your ex, Nancy Kerrigan style, and then we'll put a gold medal around your neck.
And then we'll feed it to that bitch Carol Baskin's hungriest tiger.
I love it. So the gig is Saturday night, April the 19th. It's a night of laughs and liberty at the Keystone Grand Ballroom, which is the Mohegan Sun in Mohegan, Pennsylvania. Interesting fun fact, I built a lot of this casino with some of my benevolent donations that I made over the years to several of the gaming facilities on the property.
Well done, Jim.
I have done a lot. I mean, seriously.
A real estate developer. I didn't know that was something you had on your CV.
Thank you. Everybody talks about student loan forgiveness. How about student loan providence, which is what I gave the children of a lot of these employees out in Mohegan, Pennsylvania. You probably don't even have loans because of all the good work your Uncle Jimmy did a few years back. But the point is, Kennedy and I will be coming there, not to get our money back, but to help America get its groove back.
I don't mind scratching the felt a little bit. I don't mind playing a few hands of blackjack.
No, ma'am. Anything could happen. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Slots and sluts. That was going to be the name of the show.
Why should we not title it that? The Slots and Sluts Tour. I would go to that. It's what I consider it, you know?
Well, the problem, Jim, is too many people have gone to that show, and that's why I've got the reputation that precedes me.
Yeah. They've gambled and lost. But let's get back to the slots for a second here. Let's stay on message. Woo! Kennedy's in studio. We've just announced a big date. It's Saturday, April 19th, Mohegan, Pennsylvania.
Amen.
And
you better be there. If you're within 3 hours, we better see your fanny in
10
that
hours,
seat.
12 hours.
Yeah,
Show
thank
up.
you.
Our shows are the best, and we do a Q&A at the end. There's also an option for you to purchase a private meet and greet. Mm-hmm. And I've been told that our meet and greets are unlike any other in the world.
That's right.
This is the Board of Health speaking. This is not some review.
This is fully transmissible.
This is you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. Fauci's not, but you are. Yeah. Okay.
We're not going to be properly spaced.
No, there is no spacing whatsoever at our meet and greets. It's going to be an absolute banger. Well, another place where it's very crowded right now is the White House press briefing room. Caroline Leavitt giving it to the press. I enjoy these briefings.
They're asking for it, by the way.
Aren't they, though?
Yes.
Because this is what they figured out like halfway through the Trump administration. Spicer didn't do a great job. Okay. They did.
Spicy.
I know. He was sweet, and he really did.
I tried to give him some advice before he started.
I remember this.
He didn't take it.
And he went out there and just picked a fight, but was on the wrong end. He was just completely outgunned.
Yes.
And it started on the first day where he said this was the most widely attended inauguration in history, period. And some aerial photos of the event would beg to differ.
Yeah.
And, of course, he was, fighting an uphill battle from there on in. Didn't last long. Sarah Huckabee Sanders came in. She was fine at the job, but they were still just taking so much incoming. I think it was Kayleigh who actually started this new blueprint, which is you start the briefing by going on complete offense.
Yes.
You read 15 minutes of their truth.
You have a
So-and-so
plan.
lied about this.
You're not apologizing.
Yeah, no.
You're not trying to soothe feelings.
Nope.
and give some polished message. You have a message. You are going to deliver that message to them.
It's a briefing. You're briefing them.
Karine Jean-Pierre was horrible at it.
The worst.
Jen Psaki, not good. You know who actually, surprisingly, was really bad at their job when he first started?
Who?
George Stephanopoulos.
That's true, huh?
Got eaten alive.
He did.
Yes, because it was, you have to realize, like, the Clinton era, people thought that Bill Clinton in the D.C. establishment was an outsider and a huckster.
Yeah, they didn't like him.
And so, here's George Stephanopoulos, who had worked on a successful campaign for him, but really had been just a legislative aide, and he was in so far over his head.
Yeah.
And there was a rumor that he was scratching his face at night out of worry, and that's why he grew a beard. I don't think that's true. I think he was just trying to look older because he was so baby-faced when he started.
That's a great story.
Thank
you. That's a tough gig for him to do because of the Clinton thing. Plus, he couldn't see over the podium. So you have the reality that,
I think that's why he loves Dana Perino so much.
That's why they're homies.
Yeah.
They're part of the No Rides at Six Flags Club.
It's like, I didn't want to go on that stupid roller coaster.
Lighting loop sucks. I'll just hold the teddy bears.
King of Cause lame.
I'm just going to be here. Kennedy's in studio. We're watching Caroline Leavitt give a briefing to the press, talking about Trump, who was on the phone apparently with Putin and wants to have a phone call with Zelensky to put an end to this whole thing.
So I know that you've interviewed Caroline. Does she have access to the president's inner circle? Because I felt like Karine Jean-Pierre did not.
Yes, they were giving her nothing. She was going out there with nothing a lot of times, and she had nothing to offer and was doing the old, I would refer you to them. I would refer you to these guys. She doesn't refer you to anybody.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, she's confident enough. So I think when someone is that confident, it just feels like they are spending time with the president.
Yeah.
And they are asking the president questions they know they are going to be asked, and they're included in the conversations.
Yeah, that's the big part. Because the only time I've seen a referral is she was saying earlier, I'd refer you to D's nuts. But I don't know that was an actual government agency. If that's some special bureau. I mean, it could be someone at Doge. I mean, you got big balls, you got hairy balls. Can I tell you a funny Ingram story last night? I'm doing the Ingram angle.
I hope that's not a seamless transition from balls.
No, it is kind of. So I knew she wanted to talk about the Harry Ball story. Okay, I had known through a let's call it an intermediary had informed me she was kind of into the story, but I could tell her whole issue with covering it is she didn't want to be on camera saying the words Harry Balls because now you're immortalized in meme culture for as long as you live.
Forever. That's all anyone knows. Like, those who consume TikTok in whatever form it exists.
Yes.
That is the only way they will know you.
For as long as you live.
Yes. First you were shut up and dribble, and now you're Harry Balls.
So stick with me here. It is not explained to me that she wants to not say Harry Balls. I just have the feeling because the minute I say it...
You're an empathetic person, Jim, and you know how to read people and read the room.
Stick with me. So I say it, she dies laughing. And she goes, all right, so we have to explain this to the viewers. There is a guy who... Elon Musk changed his name to Harry. She would not say the words. And I was like, oh, I get you, girl. Because you don't want to be in someone's supercut of like Harry Balls. Harry Balls. Harry Balls. You know what I mean? That whole thing. Like the Joy Reid one. Do we have the Joy Reid clip by any chance, Josh? It's 4 seconds long.
I feel like Josh is that good that we would have it.
Yeah, if we don't have it,
I have a lot of faith in Josh. I mean, Josh is lightning fingers.
Not only do we have it.
That's what they call him at the massage parlor.
You can't guard a man to man. Josh has just informed me it is clip 42.
Take a deep breath for just a moment and ponder big balls.
I mean, it's one of the weirdest white noise machines to help you get to bed at night. Now, I want you to take a deep breath.
Ponder, yeah.
And ponder big balls. That's what's going on. There's never been a more juvenile time to be alive in this country.
I know, but as someone who has like an unapologetically juvenile sense of humor, like my humor has never matured past 14.
Yeah, no, amen.
I'm happy for it because my life is silly. I laugh at stupid, filthy, juvenile things.
Yep.
I was raised with brothers, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, it takes the edge off of everything. Like, I think that one CNN reporter just sat down on a whoopee cushion in the White House press briefing room. They don't even care. Nobody even cares anymore. And why should we?
Yeah, so Mitch McConnell went to shake RFK Jr.'s hand, and he said, "Pull my finger."
If he pulled his finger, he fell over, and he's probably got a broken hip now.
Mitch probably froze up and.
Yeah, can we have this conversation with term limits or whatever you want to call it? You can't be in the Senate in that capacity.
No, Cocaine Mitch is like Geritol Mitch.
Honestly, he needs to become Cocaine Mitch.
I think a little bump from Hunter's old stash might help him out.
Somebody ought to point Mitch towards...
It used to be medicinal.
Point him towards the lockers at the old White House. You know the one the dog keeps barking at over there in the corner? That's what happened to that dog. Remember the dog Commander that was biting everybody? Think of how strong a dog's nose is.
Yeah.
Now you're stationed at a White House loaded with cocaine. The dog never had a chance.
The poor dog.
It's hopped
so
up.
Mean and confusing.
It was out of its mind.
It's like the dog is doing what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars were invested in training that dog to do one thing.
Yeah.
Sniff blow.
It's a drug.
And everyone's ignoring him. He's like, I'm going to bite you in the ass then.
He just
Ignore me.
Started biting people. I still think there's a part of the dog that thought he was president. Okay. And Biden was the dog because Biden sniffed people. And if you're the dog.
Also, they would say to Joe Biden whenever he got a sentence out, good boy. Who's a good boy?
He did.
So Commander's like, I'm running the country, obviously.
And he nibbled on people.
Yeah.
So I think I'm with the dog on this one.
And so did Army Hammer.
Yeah, thank you.
Who among us?
Yeah. Time was big protein. No one, when you talk about doing a big protein, no one ever talks about the alternative sources.
I am a keto fan.
Think about that. Everybody's yelling at us about cow flatulence and how it depletes the ozone layer. Maybe Army Hammer's just pro-climate change. He's eating people instead.
Yes.
Has anyone thought about that?
Well, I've thought about it actually quite a few times, Jim. It's a category.
This is the kind of highbrow hijinks that are available to you.
That's why they call me Brett Baer in a dress.
They did.
Here at Fox.
April the 19th, a night of laughs and liberty with Brett Baer in a dress and Jimmy Failla.
Slots and Sluts.
Slots and Sluts is a much better name
April
for a tour.
19th.
I'm so mad because you could never title it that because we're ambassadors to the Fox brand.
Of course.
But do you know? I mean, honestly, it's unfortunate. They couldn't approve it, and I understand. That being said, you'd sell a lot of tickets to the Slots and Sluts tour. Would you ever?
You would, and we might have to.
There's got to be.
We might have to add that to our URL library.
There's got to be a third party, like a casino out there, in some other country, that would have us.
Yeah. Well, now you've put that out there. You've floated that trial balloon that's probably filled with farts from fartsinnajar.com.
The problem we have right now
is an embarrassment of riches. Too many great ideas.
William, who makes this tour happen.
Yes, God bless him.
Who is so pro-Trump. He actually stormed the Capitol today. Just out. He's still mad about 2020. He went back today looking for answers.
Dressed as a face-painted Viking.
If we could get William on the phone, he can probably book us at a venue that can have us off the radar for what we bill. Even if we could only bill it one night as the Slots and Sluts tour, it would mean a lot to me. Because that's like the kind of go rogue thing I would be doing.
Yeah.
If you weren't part of such a massive media, organization.
At the most important time in our history.
We need slots, and we need sluts.
Thank you very much.
Wait, excuse me. Sorry. I was told we were going to make America great again. Okay, and if we're going to do it, okay, we're going to need two things. Am I right or am I right, Your Honor?
Oh, forgive me for being a patriot.
Yeah, sorry here. What do you think a lot of people don't tell you this in the history books because there was limitations. It was called the Boston Tea Bag Party. They didn't dump the tea.
The lesser read 69th Amendment.
April 19th. It's a Saturday night.
I do have to tell you something very funny that I can only say here.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing some Valentine's lingerie shopping yesterday.
Yeah,
Unashamedly, I'm in a committed, monogamous, beautiful, wonderful, loving relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I know how to service my troop.
Yeah, thank you.
And I ran into a Fox reporter.
Yeah, you did.
I was walking in. She was coming out, and she was kind of red-faced. She's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm buying Valentine's lingerie. What are you doing here?" And she was like, I was just shopping. Okay, great to see you. Bye. And I'm like, there is no shame in the game.
I was buying a gift card And it was for such a big amount of money, they gave me 3 bags to carry it out of the store in, is what the reporter was saying. Now, we could never name names on the air, but that's why we have commercial breaks.
Right.
April 19th, it's a Saturday. Kennedy and I will be at a night of laughs and liberty at the Keystone Grand Ballroom in Mohican, Pennsylvania. Heretofore to be mentioned and referred to as the Slots and Sluts Tour.
Thank you, Jim.
Tickets go on sale Friday morning, foxcrossamerica.com. I will be reminding you of such things incessantly. There goes the K-Train.
Get her out. Get her out of here.
The Fox News Rundown podcast is covering the president's first 100 days, breaking down every move with perspective and analysis. Start and finish your day with the Fox News Rundown podcast. Listen now wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Okay, we've had station managers reach out today when they saw the guest lineup and offer their thoughts on the booking.
We're dropping you.
To say you elicit a lot of passion in this audience would be the understatement of the century, but the lovely and talented Jessica Tarlov is in studio and the crowd goes wild. Listen to that crowd. That's your crowd.
I love it. Well, you have a live audience now.
The live, the Saturday night audience gets here early. They're so excited to have you back on the show.
They're like, Wednesday, 2 p.m., I'll be there.
Now, what's fascinating about this is I've got to like kind of reassert the ground rules of how these hits go, because we're being heard today out in Maui on a new affiliate, KAOI, Talk of Maui.
I love Maui. I spent like 4 to 6 weeks a summer growing up in Maui.
God love
On
it.
Maui, I should say.
That is so good. Well, I will tell you, Larry Fuss, who owns the station, right?
Hey, Larry.
He has come to a lot of my stand-up gigs in Vegas. He'll meet me halfway, come to Vegas.
Yeah?
And the guy, I've never been to Maui, but this guy's vibe.
You gotta go.
He just has like the best vibe of any human, and it's probably the Maui living and the Nevada living, and the guy's just, he's at a peace we don't know as New Yorkers.
No.
You know, in New York, I always say this to people, you know, we're so agitated, we answer questions that we ask you. Like, how you doing? Good? Your family good?
Yeah.
You get out of here. You know what I mean? It's just like we're in such a rush. And these are people on the other side of the country that ask you how you're doing because they want to know. And we don't usually
and they
have
have the time to listen to the answer and engage with you about it.
No, I love Fuss. So it's such a good vibe, and I have such a reverence for Maui and Hawaii, really Hawaii as a whole, because Elvis, Aloha, and Hawaii mattered to me. But stick with me. Whenever Tarlov's on the show, those of you Maui listeners, okay, who wonder how we coexist to the extent we do, we're great friends on the air and off the air, but we've always had an S&M safe word, which is pineapple. Mm-hmm. And if this thing gets too contentious, she can, or I can, pineapple our way out.
You've never pineappled. I think I did once in a conversation about Mike Flynn, where I was like, I can't take this anymore. I have to say pineapple.
Which is amazing, because these are traditionally pretty filthy conversations where you might say pineapple as an S&M safe word in a more traditional sense. You know, the gimp's really laying into you. It's not good.
I like all the dirty conversations.
She's great.
Don't like Mike Flynn.
She's one of the best smut peddlers I know in all the media, and that's why we love Jessica Tarlov. But we begin today at a point that I want to believe is bipartisan agreement, the ban on paper straws.
Oh, sure.
There's no way you like a paper straw, right?
No. The straw that I am conflicted about, though, is the agave one. Mm-hmm. You know how they've started making them out of the natural sugar. I shouldn't just say it's like a replacement, because it's a naturally occurring thing, and it's been around a long time. And they're a little sparkly, which I think is nice, and it gives it that little something extra. But I still don't think they're quite as good. They're a little grainier. Yeah. But it's definitely better than paper. But probably traditional plastic, gonna kill all the fish.
Plastic's the guy.
Is the best.
And you understand, because I was reading about this. I have an op-ed coming out for .com, but when I write these, obviously they're kind of goofy, but I still bother to do the research just so I know I'm hanging jokes on some semblance of a fact. Is that a fair way to describe what I'm doing here? You're getting semblance of a fact.
Yeah. It's like concepts of plans for a health plan.
Stick with me. There you go. So the plant-based straws as a whole have an issue in terms of decomposition long-term, because they have these PFOs, which are like forever chemicals. Yeah. And that's really the problem, is that we don't really have a discernible improvement for the environment based on what straw we use. But when I was reading about the thing about the fish, which is the point you made, it was like one of the studies specifically cites sharks. I'm not saying you did, but one of the studies like, oh no, the sharks eat these and they die. I'm like, forgive me if I missed the Jaws sequel.
Yeah.
Like, we're out of ideas. We'll bring in a soda. They throw
That'll do it.
They throw him a can of Tab Cola. Josh takes a sip and dies. I don't know.
I didn't heard that. I thought it was just all the fish.
Well, then it was turtles, which I understand because Mitch McConnell's struggling enough.
Mitch McConnell's my hero.
She loves McConnell because McConnell, for all the Hawaiians who are starting to like Jessica Tarlov, Tarlov likes McConnell today because he voted no on Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. So Trump will now, ostensibly go undefeated in his confirmation picks because of Gates, who was probably nominated just so he could get him out of Congress. Doesn't it read that way now?
I think there is probably some merit to the story that Gates got on the plane one day while Susie Wiles was in the bathroom and was able to talk to him for long enough.
She's not kidding though.
No, that he
got
convinced him to go with him for AG over Bondi, and I'm sure Florida politics, they have something. But yeah, maybe to get him out of Congress, there's a theory that people have that Rubio was picked to get him out of the Senate so that he could get someone in that seat. Maybe it was supposed to be Lara Trump. Obviously, she has better things to do now that she has a show.
I mean, let me ask you this.
With us.
Would you be
not with me? I doubt I'll be invited on that show.
Tarlov, you're not on opening night. Jessica Tarlov's in studio. We're so excited. So you were saying, if you were Lara Trump, you would be Jimmy Fallon's opening act on Saturday nights before you'd serve in the Florida Senate, in the Senate from Florida.
I mean, probably. You'd be, paid better.
Yeah, that's true, too. Well, you don't know. There's some hot stock tips flying around.
She'll still find out. That stuff gets around.
Yeah. It makes its way around the old congressional gym.
I don't know. If you have a young family and you already have a husband that's not technically in the administration, but no Chinese wall there.
They're doing okay.
You have the opportunity to host a show and to craft public opinion.
Yep.
It's a big win, and you get to be with your family.
Fair. No, I think it's a great move. We talked about it. She was on the show last week. We were talking about the idea that there's great potential because, we bump in and out of music when you're on the 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so I asked Lara, will you bump in and out on your own songs? I don't feel like I got a direct answer in the affirmative. But we had a lot of fun.
She probably didn't know if you were kidding or not.
That's funny. No, she might sing her Tom Petty covers. I bring up Tom Petty. Do you know? You may or may not know this famous story. So Trump almost got me sued by Tom Petty. It's a fantastic story.
I did not know that.
So it's a crazy story. We were making these stupid song parodies for this. Okay, and we recorded a parody of Free Fallin' by Tom Petty in honor of Joe Biden. It was called Keeps Fallin', and it was a hit. The kids liked it. The video was actually pretty funny. Trump retweeted it on a Saturday morning. I was driving up to Boston for stand-up gig. My phone blows up. They're like, oh, my God, Trump retweeted your video. You got 10 million views in the first 2 hours. Before I could even witness the Trump tweet with my name on it and everything like that, I got a ping from Tom Petty's estate being like, take it down. See, now Tom Petty famously saying, I won't back down. I will. Okay.
You're I will back down on I-95 at 4 in the morning.
I am not hiring an attorney to save this song parody.
No, I thought you were going to say you got a ping from media relations or legal here.
They were fine with it. They didn't give, that wasn't the issue. It was actually them, and away the song went. But Jessica Tarlov's in studio. And sad.
Congratulations
all caps,
on
exclamation
your 2 hours
point.
of fame.
There it is. And then there was another by Denica. We had a sketch that he also posted, which is extra funny because someone made a meme coin around it, like a Bitcoin.
Is it worth?
Which means that sketch is probably responsible for 4,000 people going bankrupt. It was probably a pump and dump or something like that. So give me this, okay?
Yeah.
You're here. We're excited about it.
Yeah.
There is a lot going on in the world. There's the Doge thing. What I would say your party is struggling with, okay? I could be wrong.
Everything.
Yeah, it would feel that. It does feel that way in this moment. It's like the Doge thing is we're all on board with cutting wasteful government spending. We obviously differ in the approach. And I feel like that's obviously the line of entry into this conversation for your party is whether or not he has access, whether or not he's duly elected, even though there's really no precedent for cabinet secretaries being elected, but some do get confirmed. But I guess what I want to speak to is superficial because we don't need to, get in the weeds here and get in a fight about it, is like the singing. Do you abide the singing? Do you abide the profanity is the profanity. Everybody's just trying to get clicks and get to the top of the mountain.
Protest-wise.
Have you watched the singing protest? I just think it looks so silly.
I have not honestly seen anything that's been done en masse.
Okay.
So with a group of Democrats that I have enjoyed.
Uh-huh.
I have seen individual videos that representatives have done that they've posted that have gone viral where I'm like,
this or that,
this is right.
It's
like
fiery
this
and
is
it has a
capturing
point.
them right.
Yeah.
Like AOC, Chris Murphy, people who seem to understand the gravity of the moment. But no, I can't stand any of that stuff. And part of it is, and Hakeem Jeffries, I think, is smart to distance himself from those kinds of events. But like, he's a cool younger face to it. Like, I know he's in his 50s, but like, he's got a vibe, whatever.
As DC goes.
Yeah. But like, Chuck Schumer, no thank you. Like,
the chance.
Yeah. And I made fun of, Chuck Schumer and Congressman Al Green with his cane, like shaking in his face. And all these people online were like, oh, but Jasmine Crockett was there, whatever. I was like, okay, well, if she's yelling mediocre white boys at people and she's not our leadership anyway, they're like Maxwell Frost. I think it's great that we have Gen Z representatives.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But like, that is not going to save us at this point.
It is fascinating. We're talking to the great Jessica Tarlov, and there's this fascinating thing playing out because obviously Elon Musk is so juvenile, like Harry Balls and all of that stuff.
And like getting Dana Bash to say it
Yes.
and thinking this
But
is
that's
the
what
funniest thing in the world.
Yeah, and in a weird way, though, he is winning that aspect of the culture war because more people will laugh at a reporter saying Harry Balls.
Right.
Then will mobilize because they sang a spiritual or some rally song.
Totally.
So in a weird way, he is winning. So I guess the path forward, though, is in terms of your party, it's early. We're still 2 years out on a midterm. But do you know who knows the midterms are coming more than anybody? Is Trump. That's why he's doing as much as he is. Because I think if there's one thing he learned the first time around is at their core, half of his party are dirtbags that just want to fundraise and remain in office.
Yeah.
And they're going to do anything to support this agenda until it becomes
more than
kind of
half.
Yeah,
I mean,
good percentage.
Neutered basically everybody.
He got everyone confirmed. Everyone confirmed.
Yeah, but not even that. Like on at least the latest, we'll see what happens with the new spending bill. But like going through that process, I mean, you got folks like Chip Roy on board. That's not easy. Tom Massey was still, the
Holding
one who
out.
wouldn't do it and said like, pull my fingernails out and shove it up my butt. But
hey, it's kinky.
Besides that, he's taken away everyone's individual will.
It's weird because they are working in lockstep in a way that we're used to seeing, honestly, out of a Pelosi-run House. Like, you know how she would get everybody to vote in lockstep? The Republicans really aren't known for that. They're traditionally in disarray. And, I mean, I think he learned this lesson the first time around because obviously he ran on repeal and replace Obamacare, and that was like the signature domestic thing he was going to try to do. But lo and behold, every single Republican who campaigned and fundraised it for 8 years had no plan.
No.
And I think that's the lesson he learned. It's like, oh, these guys don't do anything, Well,
and also I can get away with not having a plan about certain things if I have a plan for the thing that's absolutely top of mind for them. So I can say I have concepts of a plan for healthcare.
Yeah.
But if I say I'm going to go into everyone's house and rip out all the illegals, like I could get elected.
Yeah, people love that. People are on board with that. Well, that's another great point, I know.
Until it's actually executed. But yeah.
But the dirtbags got to go.
Yeah,
so they're not really picking that battle. This is where I was going to give Democrats credit is it's a smart battle to not say, if I'm elected, I'll let all the violent migrants stay in the country. You can't
I'm going to give
that.
the Medal of Honor to Laken Riley's killer.
Yeah, you can't say that, obviously.
No, of course not.
And they know that. There are some
And they
cities
don't
trying to
want
fight
to
it.
say
Of course.
it also.
Of course they don't. Okay, but that's also why I think USAID is such a loss for them. Because I think if they took a step back, what people are going to come to realize if we just give them unfettered access into this is that a lot of Republicans were complicit in this. Okay, the Republicans have run the House Oversight Committee for how many times in the last 12 years and didn't uncover any of this, which means they didn't want to.
Well, but that begs the question of like, what is this that you speak of? So I understand. I've heard from my beloved colleagues
the line
a lot
items?
about
how many times has Jesse said gay Sesame Street in Iraq?
Yeah, or like trans operas in Liberia or something like that. But you're getting, and this is where it's a combination of how awful I think what the Republicans are doing is, and also feckless Democratic messaging, because they have not humanized any of what's going on.
Yeah.
Like there are these stories of USAID employees who have been in the Foreign Service for decades having to flee their homes and they're crossing the Congo in boats with all of their possessions
this is like
on their laps.
80s movie with like Michael Douglas. Like
Totally. And Gwyneth Paltrow is not waiting at home waiting to murder him. But like that's going on. Right? And I don't think that anyone who's sitting at home going like, yeah, Doge, is actually thinking about the humanity on this of the people who work for the government or the people who benefit from it. I mean, and you've had Republican senators who talk about them being quote unquote complicit, but USAID does a lot of good things. Like we had $500 million worth of food, perishable food that got held up. And Senator Jerry Moran had to beg Rubio personally to let it go through. And Rubio just last year was asking Biden to increase funding for USAID.
That's a good point. And I think it's possible to distinguish between the things they do that are good and the things that are wasteful. And I think therein lies the challenge, is a lot of that stuff.
But that's not a challenge that it seems that the Dogettes are up to.
Well, if you push the good over to the State Department, which is what Rubio said he wants to do, and Trump said
he said it's fine.
I know. But what I'm saying is if that happens, I could see it being productive. But I think right now it's a slash and burn approach. Don't go anywhere. We're going to do an extra segment. An extra segment with
Who authorized that?
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!